Now, debut novelists make up half of the 16 strong shortlisted nominations for this year's long listed nominations for this year's Women's Prize for Fiction. The prize was established back in 1996 to highlight and remedy the imbalance in coverage, respect, and reverence, indeed, given to women writers versus their male counterparts, creating a platform for exceptional writing by women to shine. Join me in the studio now, Londoner Pam Williams, whose book A Trace of Sun is one of the 8 long-listed debut novels in contention for the coveted Women's Prize for Fiction. Hello, Pam.
Hi.
How's it sound as I read that?
Unreal. What do you mean? How does it sound? Physically sound? Or?
How does it make you feel?
Yeah,
you want me to read it again?
No,
Joining me in the studio. No, let's do it.
Okay.
Joining me in the studio now is Londoner Pam Williams, whose book A Trace of Sun is one of the 8 long-listed debut novels in contention for the coveted Women's Prize for Fiction. That's you.
It's me. And it's still sinking in because I never expected it to happen. I never thought about it happening. It hadn't crossed my mind. So when I heard, I was in complete shock. I'm still stunned. And it's brilliant to have my writing recognised in that way. My book literally has only been out for 2 weeks. So all my friends are now reading it. So I'm waiting for everyone else's feedback and see what the world thinks of it.
Have you always written?
Pretty much. I mean, I started writing stories when I was about 9. I loved writing. I guess it was a way of losing myself in another world. I had a very strict, in fact, mum who wasn't allowed to go out, wasn't allowed to do this. So I spent a lot of time writing.
I do think that short stories are a kind of art form in and of themselves that nobody seems to really take notice of, and it's a great way, isn't it, to start your love of writing. We had I got my youngest one's 10, and me and Boss Lady were at the parents' evening on Zoom, and they were saying he's got to read. So he's only into Diary of a Wimpy Kid, so and then he's reading David Walliams now because I interviewed David last weekend. And she says, I can see it in his writing, and you've got to get him now to try to read different types of books.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell me about reading for you, first of all. Perhaps I should have asked that question.
Well, yeah, I always loved reading. So I think in my teens, I read everything, Agatha Christie, Noel Coward, kind of pretty much whatever I could get my hands on.
Could you see yourself in those books?
No.
Could you imagine? See, but I didn't think of it like that. When I'm reading, George and Lenny and, I don't know, Steinbeck, and clearly I'm not American, clearly I don't know about, all the stuff there, but I could feel the sun. I could see the grass.
Yeah. And I think that's why it was reading Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Cage Birds Sing. That's when I thought, okay, as a black person, you can publish a book. It hadn't occurred to me before that you could. And because it was about her life and her story, and it made me think about my mum's life, and that was the first time that I thought that was a possibility. But I still didn't think it really was because I was a teenager.
Tell me about education. No, because you every time you talk, you're making me want to ask you more questions. Tell me about education.
So I went to what was then called the Secondary Modern in Holloway, which is now a block of flats. Girls' school, loved English. So
what did the careers teacher tell you were going to be?
Careers teacher. So what did the careers teacher tell me? It was more about working in an office. I did type in an office practice. I did work experience in an office.
But this would have been every girl.
But that was everybody.
That wasn't particular because you were black.
So
every girl was told, be a nurse,
and that was it.
Whatever it might be.
I was very lucky because my art teacher really supported me because I loved art as well. I spent a lot of time in the art room.
Those are the dodgy ones. Earring, nose ring, piercing, tattoo. That we did in our one, and they were the first people I ever met from the real world in that aspect.
Well, my art teacher, she was very, very 60s. She had the flicked hair and the pink lipstick, and you could imagine her with a cigarette. But she was very, very supportive, and she was the first person who said to me, "You should go to art school." I'd never heard of art school. I told my mum. My mum had never heard of art school.
But why would you go to art school?
Because I wanted to combine the drawing and the love of fashion and the writing. And she was saying that if I went to St. Martin's, they have a course where I could do that mixture rather than just pure fashion.
And would that have been sixth form?
So that's So I went to yes.
Is that's sixth form? So
Yeah.
we're using old-fashioned language here.
Yeah.
Polytechnic, sixth form,
Yeah.
O levels, A levels.
Yep.
The boss came around and said, "Oh, I did an O level in stitching today." And Ella here, who's 25, went, "What's an O
What's an
level?"
A-level? Yeah.
Just like, so it's a different language. So we'll guide our way through it.
Yeah.
So you did that kind
So
of
I did
for
my
a couple of years.
O-levels, I did my A-levels, and then I'd had to do a 1-year foundation course, which I did at Chelsea School of Art. And then she was determined that I should go to St Martin's.
But you're already on a different trajectory. Most people do the O levels and they're going out to look for a job because bad man's got to eat. You know,
Yeah.
the mum ain't got no money. We're not
No,
on a home
exactly.
otherwise. So you're already different.
So so once she started talking about art school, and I spoke to my mum, and my mum was very much on my side. It's kind of like, no, whatever you want to do. She wasn't one of those parents who said, "Oh, no, you've got to go to work and do this and do that." She was very much letting me make my own choices, and she knew that I loved writing.
She's still alive?
No, she passed away
Sounds like
2002.
sounds like a wonderful.
She
human
was
being.
amazing, very strong, very
Is she in
resilient.
there? We used any of her in the book?
So the book is very much her story is the starting point for the book, because she came to London in 1960 with my brother, who was 2.5, pregnant with me, and my character does the same thing. Difference being my mum left 4 children behind, and in a book Scylla leaves just 1.
So that's a Windrush book.
It is.
It's just,
yeah.
I mean,
that generation.
yeah, but
absolutely.
Windrush has become a kind of
an umbrella term.
an umbrella
yeah.
term. So yeah, I mean, I was talking to a guest today about this little girl and I call her little girl. 21 is little to me now, who left her home, who borrowed money to come to this country, to worked in a shoe factory, did 2 jobs, and as my mum said, cleaned up bleep and bleep so that she could send me to school. And it is a familiar story. But what's not so much heard of is the number of children who were left behind. That's a really good part.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, everyone I speak to, I suppose for us, it's so much taken for granted. This is just how it was. Our parents came here. Some people
Trying to make a better life.
Make a better life.
What island?
Grenada.
The island of spice.
The island of spice. A very beautiful island of spice.
So you know, Geary.
It was Gary.
Morris Bishop.
Yep. Bishop, unfortunately, gone.
So when are we? So that was, but that happened in the 80s, early 80s.
So when she left, she left in 1960. So Gary was still in power then.
Very Geary.
Yeah. So she left.
What would history say about him, by the way?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, it's very different to Bishop, right? Bishop was the guy.
Bishop was the guy who
Americans
was
couldn't take
turn the
it.
country around and make it better and stronger and have its own
communist.
infrastructure.
Make you communist.
But supposedly we were going to become communists. So
do you think I jump about a bit?
Yeah.
But you follow me on Instagram and you know
do,
that, right?
yes.
And for some reason you follow my wife as well. Just don't.
Yeah, it's got to be equal
No,
terms.
don't let her go. I'm gonna pass your follower there. Oh, leave me alone. Right, but just go with me on this, and then I'll come back to the book. Why will the Americans invade Haiti in the way they did Grenada? Do you think? Because it's almost worse in Haiti now. The rule of law has disappeared, so far as I can tell.
Yeah.
And Haiti is a very special place in my heart. You know, Jacobins, Toussaint Louverture, all of that. We won't be conquered. But it seemed that they went in to Grenada very quickly.
They must have been very threatened. They must have seen something that would have separated Grenada and taken them out of their clutches.
And they can't see that. But there's nothing in Haiti, is there?
That can't be allowed to
Haiti,
happen.
Haiti's it's gone. It's just rubbish, isn't it? Nobody cares. You just go there when you want to put a spell on somebody.
That is probably exactly what they think.
But clearly, I think. I thought you said you follow me. Do you not know when I'm joking? Nobody here does. Don't worry if you don't.
I will soon.
Oh, right. Okay. So, what gives you the courage to write the book?
I wanted to tell my mum's story. That was the initial prompt. And because I've always loved writing. And then once I realised that, yes, black people can write books too, I thought, okay, I want to become a published author.
Do you know how horrible that is, what you said there? You say it really flippantly. I realise that black people write books too. Do you know how horrible that is?
It is horrible because there weren't choices. All the writers that I've discovered after Maya were black American. There weren't black British writers.
You're talking about Alice Walker
and Tony and Terry and all of them. And
we have them now.
We have them now.
Get hold of one of Alex's books here. Talking about his experiences
Alex
of Brexit. Get hold of one of them. Lem Sasay's doing great stuff now. Afua, is doing
Yeah.
stuff now. So and
there's-
they will
there's-
now be your contemporaries.
Yeah,
How does that feel?
that feels surreal, but yeah.
Are you doing that thing that I do sometimes? you doing that imitation? I'm not quite sure what this means. Things you're not quite caught up yet.
I think because I wasn't expecting it and it never occurred to me, it's nothing, I didn't ever think about it. So I'm still kind of just digesting the fact
Yeah, but I
it's
want you to
happened.
stop saying that because I need you to get on the front foot because you will be the inspiration not just for black girls, not just for black people, but for people who think, gosh, nobody wants to hear my story. And I think all of us have got a story, haven't
Yeah,
we?
absolutely. I've never thought about that. I haven't thought about it like that in the terms of who I will now inspire. But yeah, that's a really good point, and I hope I do.
Where's
inspire
my
people.
book? Where's my copy of the book?
I don't know
I'm
what
doing an
happened.
interview with
they haven't
somebody
let you
about
read
a
it.
book, long-listed, inspirational, where she took a turn and now she's come out with this.
I don't know where your book is, Eddie. It's probably still with the Royal Mail, but I can tell you that you will love it. You will.
Oh,
you will
look
love
at
it.
you! Oh, you
It will-
changed it. You've
Yeah,
changed
changed.
it.
Now there you go.
What? When? So who's published it for you?
So it's Legend Press.
And how was that? Because I am. If you follow me, you probably know. But I absolutely have to write it. And one of the reasons I haven't written it yet is because how honest can I be? How do I frame it? Do I make it a satire? It's interesting that you say it's about your mum, but not about your mum,
Yeah.
in order that you can protect
Absolutely.
things and people.
Yeah.
And it's difficult, isn't
It
it?
is difficult because I think there are things that you want to talk about that you don't necessarily want the whole world to know was part of your life.
Don't put my business out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I know that.
the only way to, it took me a long time to write it because I had to find a way of doing it that would be true to my mom and true to my family's
respectful.
experience, but
Yeah.
was less emotional for me because I'd get to bits and I'd be like, "Oh, I don't really know. She didn't talk about that. There's so much that she didn't talk about. Our parents
Did she
didn't
talk?
talk about their life.
Did she talk about menopause?
No. She didn't talk about anything.
Did she tell you about your first period coming?
She did just maybe about 3 weeks before.
Did she tell you about boyfriends or girlfriends?
Yeah, don't have a boyfriend. Study your books.
There's time for that. There's time for that. Right, let me read it. Let me encourage, because somebody said a few weeks ago, Ed, come on, what you doing? You're so lazy. Why don't you start a book club? Why don't you want to?
Yeah.
That'd be a great one.
That would be
Yeah,
great.
I ain't got it. No, don't be telling me a bit
start
it
a
was
book.
great. You haven't given me the book. I haven't got the book.
The publisher has sent the book. I'm not sure what's happened to the book. I'm going to blame Royal
Listen
Mail,
to
okay?
you. I didn't know if I could write a book. Listen to your journey in this interview. Eddie, I grew up as a little girl and I didn't know if I could write a book. 2, my publisher has sent you.
Yeah, but it sounds good.
Yeah, but I love journeys. And I mean, if you follow Mrs. Nestor, that's a journey. It's a journey from somebody who can barely speak English, right? Who comes on to a show and then who finds a passion and then who goes on to leave her job and then to encourage other women to be great versions of themselves. I love journeys. As a young girl who came here as an intern who asked me what she should do, who then goes in the pandemic and gets a degree at first and then comes back, is the assistant for 2 years and is now bossing me about. I love stories.
Yeah.
Stories surround us. And
But I think it's what you said, passion. It's finding the passion, isn't it? And then pursuing it. You have to be really passionate. And
I suppose
you have
so.
to want to do it because it's a lot of hard work.
How hard did you find it?
I started writing this book over 30 years ago.
Yes.
Then after my Andrew died, another catalyst to actually stop talking about writing a book, which I'd done for years and years and years. I think everyone who knows me keeps messaging me, oh, I remember when you told me you were going to write a book like 20,000 years ago. And it was like, stop messing around. No one's going to be able to read your book if you don't show anybody your work. I'm writing all this stuff nobody gets to see. So I joined a writing group so that I can start sharing my work.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so I thought,
that's like group activities do encourage you more.
Exactly.
So holding each other to account.
Yeah, so I could read my work with them. We could share. I learned to critique other people's work. And
Tell me about crying.
tell you about who?
Crying.
Crying.
Was there no crying involved in writing the book? Don't be looking. I'm married. Don't be giving me that judgmental look. I've only met you for 10 minutes, for goodness sake.
A lot of crying since writing the book, not so much crying while writing the book.
Oh, why?
Because when the few people who read it beforehand, when they were really touched by it and they really believed in the characters and they really loved the characters, and realising I'd finally done what I'd set out to do and written something that people want to read, yeah, that made me cry. And then finding out it was longlisted, that made me scream and cry, howl, run around the house. So, yeah.
You did it.
there's
Lots of us, myself included, we talk a lot. We talk about what we want to do. But, they're nouns and they're verbs. And, the verb is the doing word. You've done it.
Yeah.
And you never, I've had to learn the hard way. You walk along the street and people say, well, I'll listen to that interview you did at whatever. There'll be people who listen to this who will hear how ordinary people can do extraordinary things. I haven't read the book yet, but let's just say because you've written it, you're already a winner. It's a pleasure
Thank
to
you.
meet. It's a pleasure to meet you. And where's my book?
In the post.
So if we want to get to this and start off this book club, I got to read it now, don't I? But I'm not. I'm no longer doing. I've been banned from writing my blog on the tube on my way in. The journey of the bad man's musings of a bad man on the way to the big house. Pam Williams has written a book. It's on a long list. It's for the coveted Women's Prize for Fiction. There's a little bit of truth in that. You'll have to work it out. It's about her mum, or a lady like her mum, and it's called A Trace of Sun.